Alrighty. I was seeing if they had a 64 located here, but they don't. This is a 65 Imperial. You can recognize the front from the TV show The Green Hornet, as this was the car that was mocked up to be Black Beauty. In the movie, they did not use a 65 in the movie. They used a 1966. All right, so as in the previous video with the other Imperials, those were designed by Virgil Exner, who apparently lost his job. He was pushed out as chief designer at Chrysler, and they brought in this guy from Ford named Elwood Engel. And you can recognize Engel's work if you look at the 1961 Lincoln Continental. So they brought him over to Chrysler, and he applied the same rectilinear the form of styling to Chrysler that he used at Lincoln with the Continental. So that's why you look when you look in this car. This is the second model year in this body style. You can see a lot of angular, there's trapezoidal shapes for the hood, and there's rectangular for the instrument cluster, and all of the buttons are rectangular. The seats themselves are rectangular. The entire shape of the roof line is rectangular. Then we get to the tail lights, and he uses these these arrowhead triangular tail lights. Now, another thing with this Imperial 2, the 65, 64, and 66, I just always thought, with all of this space, why did you put these anemically small tail lights? And trust me, they're not very bright. They're just not bright for highway travel. I could have used this entire panel right here. You know, you design a luxury car and design these tiny tail lights. But anyway, this is a 65. Uh, the only difference in most of these, when in 66, you see this Continental style trunk indentation. They removed that for 1966. In 1966, there's also going to be, even though they use the same stamping for the taillights, they switch things around. So this entire panel will be red, this one and this one. In the rear, reverse light would be right there. In 64, it'll be the same thing, but this over here would not have these ribs in it. Wow. I gotta find a... Yeah, man. See, look at this car. You can tell these cars are beautiful on the highway. And he's had this motor rebuilt. This is a 440 based off those valve cover heads. This has been rebuilt, or at least had a dress-up kit on it. This is a 440. This is the second year for this engine in this platform. This will be the first year for the 440 and the other General Chryslers. This here is a 67. I love these. These are beautiful looking things. Elwood Engel, clearly, you know, they did keep some of his sheet work and his designs at Ford, but he took back what he could remember, like using these corner mounted turn signals. You're also going to see these on the 1967 Lincoln Continental. You know, there's somewhat of a similarity in the grille and the way that the headlamps are Frenched into they're recessed into the grille there. So it's also similar with the Continental. You'll see that on the 65 Continental, 66, and the 67. This bumper here with the billets in it, everything, that's also on the Continental up until 68. So these cars are beautiful. All right, now one of these you can get with the Mobile Director program. The Mobile Director, which means the passenger seat could swivel around, and then there were brackets in the floor for because you were, you've had one of these cars, you were an upper crust person. You were one of the wealthy businessmen, and so you needed to have your secretary with you at all times to take dictation. So she would ride in this car, your chauffeur would drive, she would swivel that seat around, and then you could, in the floor of the car, you can bolt a steno pad or a steno machine where she can take notes, and then she'd run back to the office and then draft up letters for all your clients and all of that stuff. Now, another wonderful, marvelous thing about this car is they finally took my advice in hindsight after the fact 4 decades later. This entire panel lights up. They finally listened to the kid. They finally used the entire rear section of the car for appropriate lighting. This whole panel lights up. I mean, you still got your braking lights and your turn signals on this side, but when you turn on your parking lamps, the whole thing lights up. That's just genius, man. It's just genius. It's about time they, take my word for it. But so this one over here is the same thing. There's another 67, and you see, Chrysler had always come in third in sales in these luxury cars, so they was looking for the upper edge, and so what they wind up doing is just wind up copying a lot of times, like these little these teardrop things right here. Clearly, you can see that they got that from Cadillac. Just copied on the '66 Cadillac with the taillights in the fender. But look at this '67, and then I want to show you the '68. Here's the '67 here. Yeah, man. Oh, this car is beautiful. It's not been restored though, but this is still. I mean, clearly that one's been repainted, but this one hasn't been repainted. But it's still beautiful, man. Ugh, awesome, awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Let me